This is the Caddx Protos. It's an easy to fly FPV drone with smart features like position hold, so a new pilot can learn the controls and basic concepts of flying an FPV drone without all the crashing that's usually involved in learning FPV. The Protos comes in this complete kit that's got everything you need to start flying FPV. If you consider what you're getting with this kit, the price makes it a pretty interesting option, because most all-in-one beginner FPV kits will use an analog video system to keep the price down. And what makes the Protos different is that it's using a digital transmission system called the Caddx Ascent. So even though this kit is affordable, the Protos is packing a state-of-the-art digital FPV system. So what do you actually get for your money? How hard is it to fly the Protos for a total beginner? How good is this new Ascent digital FPV system? How does it compare to the competition? And is it the right choice for you? That's what you're here to find out, so let's get right into it. The Protos kit comes to you in this nice protective clamshell zipper case. And here's what you get. First, we've got the drone itself. It is covered with these warning stickers to help beginners get started. An ELRS Remote, a set of digital FPV goggles, 3 batteries, a 3-way smart charger, a battery for the goggles, a 35-watt power brick for your smart charger, a cable for your goggles battery, a USB-C data cable, and a USB-C power cable to plug in your smart charger, a spare canopy for your drone, an extra set of props, a microfiber cleaning cloth, and a user's manual. To turn the drone on, you just insert the battery until it clicks. And to turn it off, you just remove the battery. You will need to gently pry up this plastic latch to insert or remove the battery, because it is a little bit tight in order to hold the battery in place during flight. To arm the drone, first make sure the throttle is pressed all the way down, and then press the arming button right here. To change your flight modes, use the 3-position switch. The front position is position hold, and the LEDs will be orange. The middle position is angle mode, and the LEDs will be blue. The third position is acro mode, and the LEDs will be red. Position hold is by far the easiest flight mode, and it's what beginners should start with, because the drone will stay in place and you can practice moving it around. But it does drift a little bit, especially in the wind, and when you climb over 4 meters, it'll switch from position hold to altitude hold, which means that the drone will maintain its altitude automatically, but not its position, which does require stick inputs to prevent the drone from drifting away in the wind like a kite. I gave the Protos to my son, who's never flown FPV before, and with a few minutes he was zooming around and he already wants to do the more advanced modes.
Nice, how was it?
Yeah, that's fun.
New FPV pilots usually just crash constantly while they get used to flying, and having altitude hold or position hold can really help make that first FPV experience a positive one. The next flight mode is angle mode. And angle mode will keep the drone level, but the drone will be constantly moving, especially if there's any wind, so it does require a lot more input from the pilot to maintain control. Acro is the most advanced mode, and this is what FPV pilots fly in most of the time. It has no self-leveling features, it's completely manual, but since you have full control, you can fly fast and maneuver the drone however you want. If you're a new pilot, I recommend getting comfortable with position hold, and then angle mode, and then practice in the simulator a little bit before you move on to acro mode, because flying FPV is an amazing sensation and you'll have a blast. But trust me when I say that you'll be much better off in the long run if you take it slow and learn to fly in an open space like a grassy field where you won't lose your drone if you lose control. All right, you guys, let's take a real close look at this Protos drone. The prop guards and the frame are made of plastic and they feel very solid. The ducts have been reinforced with extra material. It feels very strong. There's a small amount of flex to absorb impacts during crashes, but it feels like it'll really stand up to some abuse. Notice that the ELRS antenna and the video transmission antenna are built into the drone and they're not exposed, which should increase durability. More traditional FPV drone designs like this Pavo Femto use a carbon plate and soft plastic ducts, and they're designed to be repairable because you do have to fix them as you crash. The Protos is much stronger and it's much more durable. It's also more refined with those built-in sensors down here and LED lights over here that traditional drones like the Pavo Femto don't have. But it's also heavier and it's not as nimble. The Protos was designed to be a bulletproof, easy to fly FPV trainer, so it's not a freestyle beast. And it is a little bit heavy for its prop size, but it's perfect for learning or just cruising around, and it will take a lot of crashes without breaking. The Protos weighs in at 61.3 grams, and with its battery, the all-up weight is 103 grams. And to put that into perspective, the Pavo Femto weighs 54.8 grams, and with a relatively large 550 mAh 2S battery, the all-up weight is 84 grams. The Protos uses these HQ 40mm 3-bladed props, which are about 1.5 inches. The motors are 1102 size and they are 14,000 kV. For reference, the Pavo Femto also uses 40mm props and 1102 14,000 kV motors. This top plate is a combination camera mount and battery mount. It's pretty plasticky, but it feels like it'll stand up to some abuse. We do get an extra canopy in the box in case yours breaks, and it's pretty easy to swap out. The camera is very well protected, and you can tilt it up or down by adjusting these screws. If you're a beginner, you'll want to keep this camera angle relatively flat, which makes it easier to control the drone at low speeds and to land. And as your skills improve, you can tilt the camera up, which will allow you to fly faster. On the bottom, we have a metal heatsink which protects and cools that digital video transmission system. And we also have an optical flow sensor and a LiDAR sensor for position hold and altitude hold. For new pilots, these sensors are really a huge advantage because traditional FPV drones don't have these because FPV pilots prefer to control everything manually. With the Protos, you can start off in position hold, then move to angle mode and then acro mode. And these sensors are what allow you to do that. We do have some LED lights on the sides of the drone and on the back, which indicate your battery level and which flight mode you're in. We also have a USB-C port to plug the quad into the computer when you need to update the firmware of that Ascent video system. We get 3 of these 2-cell 840 milliamp battery packs, which are pretty large in order to get relatively long flight times. I typically got between 5 and 6 minutes, but that'll really depend on how you fly. The advantage of these batteries is that you can just drop them right into this charging hub and it'll charge them up one at a time. The charger connects to USB-C and it takes 12 to 15 volts up to 25 watts. If you plug in your charger and it doesn't work, it's probably because you need a more powerful USB-C power source, preferably one with power delivery like the 35-watt brick that comes with the kit. This charging hub is great for new pilots who probably don't already own a balance charger, and it's a pretty cool solution for charging your batteries in the car or on the go with a battery bank. But the disadvantage is that these smart batteries have this proprietary connection and they'll only work with this drone. Another advantage of these smart batteries is that they'll automatically turn off when they get too low to prevent damage, and this charging hub has a storage function. So if you're not going to fly for more than a few days, you can put the batteries in the charger and hold down this button for 3 seconds, and the charger will automatically bring the batteries to storage voltage of about 3.85 volts per cell. This is really important to make your batteries last as long as possible because LiPos do degrade much faster if you store them fully charged or fully discharged. I think this is another huge advantage for beginners because it's easier to deal with than a balance charger, and it makes the kit a good value because new pilots don't have to spend money on a balance charger right off the bat. The Ascent goggles are basically the Walksnail Goggles L with the new Ascent video system, and that really helps keep the price of this kit down. Keep in mind that the Goggles L sell for about $200, so getting a set of these goggles included in the kit really makes it a great value. To power the goggles, you use this lithium-ion pack, which charges over USB-C, and you plug it into the goggles with this cable that has an XT30 on one end and a standard size barrel connector on the other. So if you lose this battery or this cable, you could just pick up a replacement goggles cable and power them with a normal LiPo battery. They will accept 6 to 25 volts, which means you can use any 2 to 6S LiPo. When I fly, I just put this battery in my pocket. Just be careful of the cable, you wouldn't want it to pull out while you're flying. Since the battery is external, the goggles are pretty lightweight and they have a nice wide head strap, so they are pretty comfortable to wear. The goggles have an LED strip that lights up when you power them on, so you look cool while you're flying. The SD card is located right here, and you can use up to a 256 gig SD card. There is a built-in DVR, and you can set the goggles to record your flights automatically, and you can play back the flight recordings inside the goggles. This is important because when you crash, playing back the last few seconds of DVR can really help you locate your drone. The goggles have left-hand circular polarized patch antennas built into them right in the front, and the specs say that you can get up to 4 kilometers of range out of the system. You'll never need that sort of range with a tiny little drone like the Protos, but it's nice to know that the goggles do have that capability so that you can upgrade to other drones in the future. The screens are 4.5-inch 1080p 60Hz displays, and they look great. If you use glasses, you do have the option to order custom lenses, and they have some screw holes right here to install them. They do have a built-in fan, and we have air intakes on the side and at the top. On the right side, we have a 5-way joystick, a back button, and a record or enter button. The remote feels great in my hands. It feels solid, and it's got plenty of buttons on the top and the back, which are placed naturally right where your fingers land. If you've ever used an Xbox controller, that's basically what this feels like in your hands. I'm a thumber, so I hold my radio like this, and it feels great to me, and it's super easy to access all the buttons. If we put the radio next to my Jumper T14, you can see that the size of the radio itself and the gimbals are quite a bit smaller, but it'll work great to get you started. This is an ELRS radio, which means you can bind it to any drone that's using ELRS in the future. The antenna is internal, and we have a built-in battery that charges over USB-C. You can plug this radio into a simulator like Liftoff. I'm on a Mac, and Liftoff recognized the remote right away as Caddx, but I did have to turn on the remote before plugging it in, and I did have to calibrate the sticks. But after that, it worked perfectly. If you're a new pilot, I highly recommend practicing in the simulator before you jump into acro mode, because you can learn the basics or even practice advanced maneuvers or tricks in a virtual environment without the consequences of crashing in real life. The best part about this drone is the Ascent video system. Video reception is good, and the FPV feed is crystal clear as long as you're not too far away. The Ascent system in the Protos is set to 25 milliwatts of output power when you get it, but it will go up to 100 milliwatts. I assume Caddx did that because new pilots might not know that if you power on a drone for any amount of time without flying it, the digital transmission system gets super hot and it will overheat. But once you get comfortable flying, you'll definitely want to crank up that transmission power to 100 milliwatts because that will give you much better range and video quality. You do that in the goggles menu under Settings, Transmit Power. I was able to get very good video quality within a few hundred yards flying around with trees and obstacles, but anytime I lost direct line of sight, the video quality would degrade very quickly, and sometimes it even froze for a few seconds, which can get scary. As far as latency goes, I thought latency was fine when the signal was strong, but it felt like it really spiked and I got a lot of stutters when I got to the edge of my range, and that delay made it much more difficult to navigate turns or fly around obstacles. Another thing to keep in mind is that the antennas inside these goggles are patch antennas, which are optimized for the area that you're facing. So you'll have much better range when you fly in front of yourself, and your signal will degrade faster when you fly behind yourself. Overall, I think the Ascent system provides a very good FPV experience within 100 or 200 yards, but I found the range and penetration to be limiting because I'm used to flying much more powerful systems like Walksnail or DJI O4. But since the Protos is basically an FPV trainer drone, I think it works great for what it was designed to do, And a new FPV pilot learning FPV will have plenty of range to practice with. But you should know that the Protos does have a fairly limited range. If we compare Caddx Ascent to an analog system, it's much better. Even if the range of the Ascent system is a little bit limited, it is an HD image that looks like it's from this century, and it's pretty awesome that we're getting digital FPV for basically the same price as analog. If we compare the Ascent system to Walksnail, as of today, Walksnail is much more powerful and it has much better performance. And the Walksnail Moonlight can record very good quality 4K 60 frames per second video. Unfortunately, Walksnail and Ascent are not compatible, so if you wanted to upgrade to a Walksnail drone in the future, you wouldn't be able to use your Ascent goggles. The good news is that Caddx has already released new Ascent video transmitters, which means there will be an ecosystem of video transmitters and HD FPV drones that will be compatible with these goggles. If we put the Caddx Ascent next to the DJI O4 system, there really is no comparison. The image quality and the range and penetration of the DJI O4 is far superior. Even the DJI O4 Lite can record 4K 60 video with gyro data, which means you can use software like GyroFlow to stabilize it, and it transmits a video signal at 700 milliwatts, and the range and penetration is much, much better. But, there's always a but. The cost of a DJI O4 system is going to be much higher after you factor in a DJI O4 drone, a set of DJI goggles, and batteries and a balance charger. And if you live in the USA, you might not even be able to get a DJI system even if you can afford it. For learning FPV, the quality and price of the Protos kit is going to be very hard to beat. All right, you guys, now it's time for my conclusions. And I have to say that there's a lot to like about this little drone. This all-in-one kit is exactly what a new FPV pilot needs, and what really sets this kit apart from other beginner kits I've seen is the quality of the gear. It's not high-end gear, but it is very decent quality, and it will get you started and serve you well into the future. I love having position hold because there's such a steep learning curve in FPV, and a lot of new FPV pilots end up having a bad experience. Their first FPV drone ends up smashed or on the neighbor's roof, or they just give up. With position hold, the Protos makes it so much more likely that a new pilot will get a taste of adrenaline and excitement that is FPV, and then they can move on to angle mode or acro mode as their skills improve. The Ascent goggles are pretty solid. They're basically the Walksnail Goggles L, and I know a lot of pilots who are very happy with those goggles. And this radio is a very decent ELRS radio, which means you can use it for other drones in the future, and it plugs right into simulators like Liftoff. And it's nice to have 3 batteries and a smart charging hub. You can't beat the convenience of charging batteries on the go with a power bank, and it means new pilots don't have to invest in a balance charger right away. And the Ascent system is very promising. I do wish this drone had a more powerful VTX with better range and penetration, but I assume it'll get much better with firmware updates, and it's more than enough for an FPV trainer. And when it comes to value, the price of this kit is pretty much impossible to beat. Seriously, go out and price any other digital FPV system, and you'll see what I mean when I say that this kit is a great value. Here's the bottom line. If you already have your feet in the FPV world, and you already own a set of goggles, batteries, balance charger, whatever, you might be better off by going with a more established system like Walksnail or DJI. But if you or someone you know is looking to get into FPV and you don't already own any FPV gear, and you want a drone with some smart features like position hold to make that first flying experience safer, easier, and more enjoyable, this kit is going to be a great option. What do you guys think of this kit and the new Ascent video system? Is it better to learn how to fly with training wheels so you don't crash? Or is it better to just say a prayer and send it? Let me know, I love talking FPV with you guys. All right, that'll do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.